Imagine me wearing something that says Slytherin on the sleeve. Hey y'all, how's it going? Welcome back. It's Mia, and today we're discussing Hogwarts Legacy. I'm going to give my spoiler-free review because it is out today on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, and PC. Now, thank the PS5 because we got the deluxe edition, which granted you 72-hour additional access before the game launched today, and so I got to play a little bit on the PS5, which I was so happy. Unfortunately, I was bummed to find out. I thought the PS4 version was dropping today. I was like, all of the releases are coming out today, but unfortunately, if you have the PS4 or Xbox One, it's not coming out until April the 4th, which is what I have here at home. And if you have a Nintendo Switch, that's not going to come out till July 25th. So all that being said, yeah, I got to play. My goodness, when I turned this thing on, it was 2 o'clock. I looked down, the next thing I know, it was like 5 o'clock. I played for like 3 consecutive hours straight, pretty much. On top of I did like an extra mission before I had to go home because, again, I have a PS4 here, but my brother has a PS5, so I got to play on his account. And man, it was just, I'm like, what led me to play a game for 3 hours straight? I think it was the immersiveness, the novelty of just this whole idea. And I mean, really, as far as I've been playing, there's never a dull moment between the quests and exploring Hogwarts, the story and all that. And so, like I said, it's going to be a spoiler-free review. I'll just kind of dish out some of my pros and cons, and I wanted to start out by talking about performance because, I mean, who would expect me to talk about performance on a review channel? I'm not a gaming channel, but I think it's worth talking about because this is just such a massive game, more so than my brain can comprehend. But for what it's worth, the game played pretty smoothly on PS5. Like, I know we had to tweak some things because, I don't know, like if you have the settings, you put them all the way to the max. There has been some performance issues. I know my brother said he had some choppiness as far as the frame rate, maybe when it came to cutscenes and stuff like that. So you might have to tone it down a bit. This game was not meant to be played on a man-made console. I think maybe Avalanche dreamed a little bit too big, and I've seen some stuff on PC as well on the subreddits, people talking about having kind of performance and lagging issues, and it looks like they might have released a PC update or something like that. But that's just something to be mindful of. But once you get past all of that stuff, it does run really, really smoothly. And I'm just thinking, like, my goodness, a game that is like not even ready to run on current gen consoles, there's no freaking way when it touches that Nintendo Switch it's gonna be ready. Or at least I think what's gonna happen is they're gonna have to take this and they're gonna really have to like compress it to make it run on the Nintendo Switch, because I mean, I think my iPhone is more powerful than the Switch, so that will be a feat if they're able to pull that off. But I mean, otherwise, I was surprised that this thing shipped pretty much bug-free. Maybe there's been some stuff here or there, and I think kind of the physics sometimes are a little wonky, but it's nothing like that takes you out of the game. Because I mean, I was expecting like Skyrim, Fallout levels, really like Cyberpunk levels. I was like, this game is so ambitious that, you know, I'm gonna be T-posing all around the castle. Rest assured, that is no problem. And I'm like, really, Avalanche, this studio, to go from nothing to something, to outdo Bethesda and CD Projekt Red. Amazing job. I think that's awesome that this shipped pretty much bug-free. And I think once they kind of iron out the kinks as far as performance issues, this game is like A-okay. That being said, enough nerd stuff about performance and stuff, but I wanted to get into just some of the aspects that made this game great, which I want to start off by just complimenting the musical score. I mean, it is so atmospheric, it really draws you in, and it is definitely 110% reminiscent of just that original John Williams score. And I was like, so much so that some of the like riffs and stuff even reminded me of kind of like the original Star Wars score, which I'm like, okay, that's neither here nor there. Maybe to me it's a good thing, because it's like, okay, the composer knows what they're doing, they got into the mind of John Williams, and boom, here we go. It's a really magical score, and I don't know, it makes it all feel so much more immersive. Now, as far as a con, and maybe this is more of me having to manage my expectations a little bit better, I thought what they were setting up was a little bit more of a simulation heavy-ish game. Maybe not completely like The Sims where you're just running around drinking coffee and, going partying and all that stuff. But I did expect there to be a little more interaction as far as forming relationships, making friends, things like of that nature. So I would see this game just kind of pretty much aligned with something like Cyberpunk, where they give you the option to customize your character, but for the most part, you're just kind of like, this could just be, they could have gone with an original character. You didn't necessarily have to make your own character. I mean, it definitely adds to it, but there are some things that I was expecting at least to have like options to talk with friends, make friends, have some dialogue options that would either maybe positively affect your relationship with them or negatively affect your relationship with them. Didn't necessarily need a whole dating sim or anything like that, but just the ability to kind of manage your friends, to have that be a little bit more immersive. I think I was expecting something like that as a so-called cozy gamer. That's something that I would have been looking for. And then even as far as having friends, just someone to kind of like run along with you on the Hogwarts campus, on the Hogwarts grounds, and just say, hey, come along with me, we're gonna go to Hogsmeade, or I don't know, maybe I'm going to complete a side quest. Why don't you come along, goof off with me? Let's hang out in the common room. So it's lacking some of that stuff. Not to say it's incredibly bad, but I was like, I guess I've been playing too much Dreamlight Valley because, you could like string along Goofy and pick carrots out of a garden with Goofy and max out those friend stats. So you don't necessarily get that with this game. They do give you some kind of like pre-assigned friends, and I do like those characters like Natty and Sebastian. They're pretty cool, they're dope, I like them, they're my new besties. But I think just the ability to have made more friends around the castle instead of just kind of like doing side quests for them and having that be that would have been kind of a fun addition. And then also I'm kind of surprised, it looks like they are maybe setting it up to, as you get further in the game, you can wield dark magic, but as far as I see it, it doesn't really seem like you can go back and do, like maybe you want to do a peaceful run or neutral run or an evil run. So far it just seems like the paths are kind of just preset for you. You're just along for the ride, and it doesn't always feel like the choices that you make are too good or too evil. So maybe as I said, as the story expands and progresses, you will have that opportunity to be a little bit evil or to be, a little bit more pacifist. But yeah, it's kind of like, I know people are like, oh, I'm creating a Slytherin because I want to be mischievous and evil, or I'm going to be a Hufflepuff because I want to be nice, or Gryffindor because I want to be brave. But I haven't really seen so much of that come up yet. Maybe it will, but we'll see. And then another funny thing that as I've been browsing the subreddit, a lot of people just want to sit down. And I know it's like bare minimum, like game immersion, but I get it. Having the ability to sit and be with your friends makes it feel a little bit more like a sim where you can just kind of be like, hey, I'm here with them. And on top of that, though, just a sleeping mechanic. You can't sleep in the game. If you want to progress, it's more like GTA for the most part, where you just kind of arrive at your marker, GTA 5, and then it just kind of speeds things up for you. So I definitely think it would be more immersive if you could go back to your common room, lay in your bed, sleep, time passes, and now you can go ahead and do your next mission. And so it's like, really, they have kind of deemed the common rooms not important. There's really not much to do after your first day in the common room, which is kind of a big letdown. There's no sleeping mechanics. You don't go there to sleep. You can't make friends, so you're not really going to your common room to brush up with your fellow Hufflepuffs or Ravenclaws and saying, hey, how's it going, building those stats. So yeah, there's really no incentive to going into your common room after that first day. So I think they need to kind of, just do something to make that feel more, I guess, necessary and important in the game. Okay, one last thing, because I know I love this game, but yeah, of course, the criticisms are going to come out. For me, customization was another big thing. Again, being a cozy gamer, liking the kind of more simulation part of these type of games. I was expecting the customization for your character to be a little more expansive, and I thought it was. Looking at some of the previews and the gameplay and seeing others do it, I was like, wow, you have a lot of options and a lot of variety, but it's really a big illusion. Basically what it comes down to is, you know how on The Sims you can choose your eye shape, you can maximize everything, minimize everything, ears, nose, jaw, mouth, and with this there is none of that. So what they have is they have a set of maybe 25 or so preset, like face presets. So the face, eyes, nose, mouth, the jaw, all of that is wrapped into one preset, and you kind of just have to go with what they picked. The problem with that for me is that there's not a lot of variety there, and they really chose some like straight down the line androgynous presets. So for me, I wish they could have at least created some more masculine leaning presets and feminine leaning presets. It's really androgynous, and at the same time I'm like, okay, you can either create, you know, these more masculine or feminine presets, or just give us the option to kind of create the face that we want, either by letting us select, you know, predetermined eye shapes and then nose shapes, mouth and face shapes individually, or just giving us sliders as well where you can kind of change those options. I don't need a ton of, you know, like now I've got to do the hips and like on The Sims where you're doing those sliders, but I think just a little bit more variety would have worked, because I'm like, they don't even have hooked noses. I looked at the noses and they don't have anything like that. So a little more variety would be nice. I think they should focus on expanding that, at least for me. I don't think it should be that hard. Oh, but you can choose the eyebrows. If you were worried about that, no, you can choose what eyebrows you want on an individual level. Thank God. Anyway, let's get back to some of the strengths of this game, which to me, the crown jewel of this game is Hogwarts. I mean, this thing is huge, and I'm pretty sure from what I've seen, pretty much all of the castle is explorable. There's virtually no red tape, and it's limited only by, you know, maybe what spells you have to do or what missions or even what puzzles you have to solve. So, I mean, yeah, the castle looks amazing. It's kind of the equivalent to if you've ever done ridden on the Forbidden Journey ride at Universal Studios and you've gone through the castle that way. You get that feeling all over again just by being in this castle. And just, I mean, the attention to detail that they have in this game is wonderful. And I also like that they took some liberties to spruce up the castle on the insides, because kind of like in the movies, the castle is very stony, it's cold, it looks like a castle, but what they've done here is, I don't know, they've just made it look like a proper castle in this game. I mean, you've got like tapestries, you've got like some nods to Baroque architectures and interiors. So I really love that attention to detail. And yeah, speaking of attention to detail and interiors, I have to give it up for the common rooms. I know I said that functionality wise, these things are pretty useless. But on that first day, when you arrive in your common room, you wake up for the morning and you just see it. I mean, for me, being in Hufflepuff House and never having seen that on screen, that's a big deal. And so it's kind of like you just kind of get overwhelmed with emotion and you start thinking like, oh my gosh, this is where Cedric spent his time, and Tonks and Newt Scamander. And you know, it's funny because it's like seeing it finally, it makes it real. Even though I know the irony is that this is all a fictional world, it just makes that, I don't know, after 20 odd years or so, you're finally like, oh my goodness, this is it, I'm here. And so yeah, it's so gorgeous to look at that. I'm like, really, they need to introduce some more functionality for these common rooms, because it is so worth coming back to. But you need a reason to go back other than just, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Additionally, I did not know that the map was so expansive for this game. Like Hogwarts in and of itself, if I just had that would be enough, because it is so huge. The grounds are so huge. There's so many rooms to explore. But not only that, but like, again, you have an entire map which includes Hogsmeade. And when you first go to Hogsmeade, you will walk from the castle all the way to Hogsmeade, and it is not a short walk at all, guys. I'm like, you're walking with your companion, you're like jogging with your companion, you're like, okay, when are we gonna get to Hogsmeade? But it's awesome because in between that, all along that route, there's so much to see. You even pass by the Forbidden Forest, which is along the way, and I'm sure there's a lot of stuff to do in there once you get to that point. But just Hogsmeade itself, I love how I guess they really expanded it so much more than what we've seen in the movies, and that look was replicated when you go to Universal Studios in Orlando and in Hollywood. But in this game, it's a completely different look, but I like it because it looks like a fleshed out hamlet or village versus kind of the one horse town that you see in the movies. So I really love the look of Hogsmeade, and I'm sure it's worth exploring. That's where you can buy some stuff that you need, some of your essentials, some additional upgrades and stuff like that. And I know there's areas on the map that even in just my 3.5 hours that I played, I did not unlock it. So I'm super excited to unlock the rest of the map and explore that. Now, me being on the kind of relaxed side of gameplay, I don't play a lot of games, and when I do, like I said, they're the very relaxed games. So I had I had some reservations about the action in this game because it did look very action heavy. I mean, it's an action RPG, sure, but my focus was the story, and all of those worries had been put aside. I was like, I didn't want to get too deep into combat to where it's impending my ability to move forward, or, I'm trying to cast all these spells and I keep dying. I don't want it to be, like Elden Ring or something like that. I'm not here for a challenge whatsoever. I just want to enjoy the game. And luckily, they do have that. So I played on Super Weenie Hut Junior mode. Seriously, there's a slider, so you can have easy, difficult, probably, hard, super hard. And then they had on the other end of the scale story mode. So that's what I did. And basically, there is still combat. I thought maybe you would bypass the combat or stuff like that, but I'm actually glad that you don't bypass the combat. They just make it extremely easy for you. So you've got your wand, ta-da, and you're target locking, and they're really just making it easy to stun and perform spells and to block, and so you don't take a lot of damage. And it's still fun for me because when you whip your wand like that, it looks so cool. It looks so fun. I really love that mechanic. And at the end of the day, with me playing on super duper easy mode, it's like the equivalent of giving your sibling the controller and letting them play knowing darn well it's not connected, but at least they're still having fun and doing something. So that's how it feels for me. I still feel like I'm doing something. So yeah, my goodness, what a fun game this has been. The opening was just wonderful, and it takes place outside of Hogwarts. To me, that opening was so good that I could have had the whole game be like that outside of Hogwarts, and it would have been fine. I completely forgot that we were going to Hogwarts after 10 or 15 minutes or so. It was really, really wonderful. It really draws you in. I've seen some criticism here or there saying that there's some plot holes or things of that nature. I guess I haven't gotten too deep into the plot to kind of discover those, aside from the fact that they really don't make a big deal to discuss why you're starting class, why you're transferring into Hogwarts as a 5th year. I wish they could have given that story a little bit more support and just kind of been like, they make such a big deal about it. So it's like, if you're going to make a big deal of it, at least kind of explain who I am, what I do, why I'm here. So they really kind of glossed over that, but otherwise it's an immersive story. The first couple of hours, though, gonna feel like you're in a tutorial. There's so much explaining, so much to do, so much to learn, and so I'm just waiting for the part where you can take the training wheels off and go out on your own. But I'm assuming hopefully after the 5-hour mark, it feels a little more liberating, and I can kind of go out and do what I want without feeling like, I've got the bowling lanes up and I have to do exactly what they say and exactly how it's meant to be done. So yeah, I seriously do think this is Game of the Year material for sure. If it doesn't win, it at least deserves a nomination. Definitely, I think we'll get nominated for Game of the Year. But otherwise, yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this discussion. Subscribe for more. If you're sticking around for Last of Us, we'll have 2 back-to-back episodes. A twofer coming up, hopefully tomorrow. So otherwise, guys, again, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.